Hello everyone. Thank you for checking out today's video. I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. Let's get started. What black market did kids at your school run? I went to a private high school with a strict dress code, ties, belt, etc. So I bought a bunch of ties and belts from a thrift store and ran a lucrative rental business out of my locker. Rent a swag. A kid in my school used to sell stupid amounts of porn tapes for $10. We found out later that his dad had paid for some porn channels and I guess he never noticed his son had them open in his room. He would buy empty tapes and just hit record until the tapes were full. I know I bought at least 10 of them. This was in the 90s. That guy was making a shit ton of money. He would bring a backpack full of tapes almost every day and leave school with it empty. Easily he was making $200 a day when he emptied his bag. Edit. Thanks guys. Now every time someone mentions emptying a bag in any situation I'll remember all your masturbation jokes. They will come in handy for sure. Man, it's hard to go back to minimum wage after that type of income. Apart from the 20 minutes before the morning bell rang where everyone crowded around the front of the school being an open air drug market, there were always dice tournaments. The rules were 2 people put down X amount of money on a game, then both people rolled 2 dice at the same time. Whoever got 7 or 11 first won the money. The winners of the first rounds would play each other for the amount of money they won in previous games. This went on until the bell rang, or it was broken up by teachers/school administrators. Things often continued in the afternoon after school let out. So many people got detention and suspended for repeat gambling. Looking back, it was hilariously stupid how much money was won and lost on a game of pure luck, and the sheer number of people who got in trouble for it. Yes, I was one of them. You guys were legit playing street craps in school mayo. Locker accessories such as carpets and magnets. Carpets? How big were your lockers? Only a few hundred square feet. The fireplace was really disappointing because it was only gas. I used to bang my head on the chandelier till I bought out my friend's locker above and built an extension. When I was in the 6th grade, a teacher sold candy in between classes at marked up rates. A student decided to undercut her. That put an end to all candy sales. Till the school system hates the free market. Classic example of big business legislating small business out of the market. You could even say it was a textbook example. MP3s and CDRs were just becoming available. A guy I knew made a killing on mixed CDs. Every week he circulated forms to fill out where you selected the songs you wanted on the CD. The newest hits were on the top and changed weekly. The rest of his library filled the rest of the form and there was a space for requests. He'd deliver your disc the following week. He seriously made bank for a couple years until everybody started getting their own songs from LimeWire or whatever. I don't know what he's doing now, 20 years later, but I don't doubt he's successful. Edit. Just as a bit of an aside, since a few responses have mentioned LimeWire, when this guy started doing it in HS the only real avenues for music sharing were Usenet groups and Ike. I had 2 brothers in my school who did this in 7th and 8th grade. They were the only ones with a CD burner and they crushed it, $5 a pop. And a lot of times they'd just burn whatever app was popular or shit they both liked, but at the time, I especially had no other access to that shit as we didn't have cable TV or high-speed internet, so it was a hot commodity. A few of us did this when I was in college. This was back when CD burners were still $500 plus and CDRs were $5 plus. My dorm floor had a bunch of pirates on it. Actually, they probably had the majority of burners for the entire campus, and it was a fairly large school. They made an agreement to standardize prices so that no one would get ripped off, and everyone contributed money to bulk purchase blank CDs. That, and one person also would mod people's PSXs for $25. So, every week, and it was a rotating group of people, some people in our dorm would pretty much buy every new game at a band Babbage's, they'd burn a copy, and they'd just return all the games. This was back when they still allowed open package returns, and never bothered collecting any data. You have a receipt? That's good enough. This girl Danielle convinced my best friend and I, along with some other people, that she could forever change the taste of saliva in our mouth. So that our saliva would taste like watermelon, cotton candy, bubble gum, etc. forever. She made us wait a couple days, so we could really think about what flavor we wanted in our mouth forever. For example, she would tell us, "Are you sure you always want everything you eat to have a hint of watermelon?" Anyways, after a couple days and we picked a flavor, she charged us money. I can't remember how much, but it was probably $0.50 or something. She made us chew on all this crazy stuff like paper clips, erasers, and other things. Obviously our saliva never changed flavor and she stopped this. But I worked at Starbucks a couple years ago in my hometown and she came in and didn't even recognize me, and all I could think about was how that girl had me chewing on paper clips. Was she head of her own religion by then? Maybe a bunker full of mole men. I had the principal's secretary's handwriting down and used to sell hall passes for $1 each. Made a killing. Edit. I don't really know how much I made, but it was in the realm of $5 a day. Sometimes I went dry because you needed the actual pass paper, but I finally figured out how to get into the supply closet, slide the student in by the latch bolt. I only took a few pads at a time, so they wouldn't get suspicious. Edit 2. I could also forge my mother's signature. Did it so well that when I brought in a note from her that she scribbled on the dash, they called her to confirm. I never grasped the concept of hall passes. Do you have hall wardens which detain you if caught without a pass? Freeze criminal scrum and show me your hall pass. They shoot on sight. Cuban sandwiches straight out a duffel bag before school. They were bomb, cheap and way better than the lunch in the cafeteria. Best sandwiches ever. I grew up in Tampa and I miss being able to go to Ybor City for a real one. The few places in California I have found that sell them all put mayo on them. Makes me so mad, so now I just make my own using a slow cooker to do the pork. In high school, this guy sold socks in the hallways. I'd ask why there was a market, but I'm not sure I want to hear the answer. I went to school with a lot of emo kids and apparently, socks ruined the look of Converse and Vans. The gym teachers hated it, so if you weren't wearing socks, you couldn't participate, and you got an F for the day. Silly bands. I remember a kid made like $50 one day. This was late middle school for me. They were so highly coveted in our school that if you had rare ones, you'd rather shoot yourself in the foot than give them away. I remember the fantasy pack was rare and came with bands shaped like a genie and unicorn and that shit. I only knew like 2 kids that had that pack and everyone was gagging to trade with them. Of course that didn't happen. So effectively, in the inner workings of my middle school, a caste system was created from fucking rubber bands. All silly bands are equal, but some are more equal than others. We had gel pens. Same shit, different years and all that. Gel pens were huge when I was in 5th grade, 199200. Kids had even figured out that you could pull the tips off of them and mix 2 different gel colors together in the same pen. I never bought one, but few enough kids could do it without ruining both pens that they had quite the little market going. Apple laptops in middle school. Some had iTunes, some didn't, and the kids wanted it, so I apparently was the only one who knew how to transfer the installer with my USB. I put it on everyone's laptop for gifts, favors, etc. in return. Got caught by the sub that day. I told her it was my flash drive, I could do what I wanted with it. And that's how I got my second detention of my life. Edit. Gifts were typical middle schooler shit. Yu-Gi-Oh cards, fruit snacks, best food trades during lunch, gain in popularity and hang out with the cool people. Obviously they were taking advantage of me, but I didn't mind. How did you get the first? Gang violence. You don't wanna mess with the middle school mafia, bro. Banana chips were 25 cents in the vending machine in middle school. I always went to school early, so I always ended up buying all of them and selling them for 50 cents a bag. This is one of my favorites out of this whole thread. Simple and effective. This is the same business model as StubHub. Buy all the tickets at face value and resell for double the amount. I used to sell Coke, the drink, because they didn't allow fizzy drinks to be brought in. Pablo Frescobar. I lived in an area with a lot of retiree age people, a lot of which ended up raising their grandchildren. It really isn't a good area. Being older and from a rural area, they still don't trust online sites like eBay or Amazon. So I started ordering people things from those sites for actual money and added a charge for me to be making money off of it. It eventually got shut down because I got someone a USB in the shape of a pistol. It was the size of a USB and clearly a USB, but it didn't matter. The principal actually got the police involved to try to get me in real trouble. During a drug search at my school, a guy got in trouble simply for having a shirt in his truck with Sex Pistols on it. Zero tolerance is a freaking mess. It's not anything bad, but we had a black market for food and another for birth control pills. Hey, Martha. Didn't see you last week. You want your usual order of birth control pills? Nope. Just the food, please. Do you need double the usual amount?